Had to drink some water. Greetings and welcome back once again. Ooh, this is Muna. Israel. All praise be to the Creator for another opportunity, another day, every day is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to heal, to build, and sometimes to tear down. You know what I mean? There's a time for everything under the sun. I did intend to come and share some information along the lines of healing, but I remembered that there was a question asked, and welcome to those who just joined us. Like 2 weeks ago, wait a minute. About 2 weeks ago, this was all the terminology at least was new to me. And since then, it's been like, whoa. And I mean, it's been like, okay, there's a lot going on here. Needless to say, I was asked a question, and I'm gonna read you the question, and then I'm gonna share some of what I found. Actually, I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully if I get done what I'm doing after this, I might come back and talk about trauma bonding as we're looking at a lot of things. But for right now, let me just hopefully be able to deal with this quickly. Hold up. All right. So on like about the second video that I did, what's behind the numbers, historical context, ADOS, pushback, revisited. That was about the second video I did on this topic. And that video was to address some of what I found as I was doing my preliminary research. I put the link to that video in the box. I got a lot of feedback on that particular video, but one in particular was asking me a question. I noticed now, since I've been just sharing what my findings on this historically, especially in this area of slavery, that I've been, go find this, go find that. I mean, I'm here to say that I'm willing to share information, but this is not necessarily going to be like my project of how to disprove and fight back of people who want to say, or that's not really my objective. Now, so just for the sake of that fact that I said that I would take a look into this, I'm not sure how forthcoming the question was, or whether it was like trying to be a bit facetious. If I'm wrong, please forgive me, but that's kind of how it was communicated, or how I received it. But nonetheless, I spoke in this manner. So under the video, we have Our Economy saying, I found this information online. Again, I went into, and I find it interesting that a lot of what is being addressed is not being addressed. So it goes like this. On one side, someone makes a statement, and then someone addresses the statement that the person made with evidence and proof that this statement may not be 100% historically accurate. What you get in return is another question that's not associated with the answer that you just gave. So this is what I received in this particular instance. There was a statement made, and I kept saying continuously that this is a statement made, but based on history, I don't know how accurate the statement is. There was an article referred to. We already went over that article. There was history given. We went over all that stuff. So if you missed it, feel free. So I'm not sure if Our Economy actually watched the video or went and did the research for themselves. I'm not sure. All I know is that I have a new question. So I found this information online. Quote, students pursuing full-time or part-time undergraduate programs at the University of West Indies, the Barbados Community College, and the Edison Teachers Training College will have their tuition fees paid by the government of Barbados. As an ADOS, and then mad dots, like about 6 of them, I wonder if I can go to Barbados and get my tuition paid. If you look at the history, there were many former slaves who fled the US and settled in Barbados. So doesn't that mean that we are the same people? So they're asking a question, more than one question in the same, it's multiple questions, let me say that. And so the contention has been, on my behalf anyway, is that historically everything has become so interwoven that you can't blanket statement it. You really have to look into the history of whether people fled the US and went to Barbados, and whether you can find that connection. And I think That's what I'm hearing. A lot of the pushback is that when you blanket statement it gets convoluted. Okay, so this was the question I was asked to me. I said, thanks for sharing your findings. Can you share the article link as well? Because some, people are coming on, they're just sharing random things. This is why I like to give people the information themselves and then take my hand off of it. Because I don't want to spin it any way, this way or that way. If I'm answering something directly, I will answer it. I said, did you have an opportunity to watch the video? Is the historical context of the area the study was done in accurate? So I'm taking it back to the content of this video and trying to see whether or not this question that's now being asked is related to this video. Now, again, this is another one of my homework editions, so please bear with me. That question wasn't answered. Hold on, let me read more. Again, thanks for sharing. I look forward to reading the article. So I'm like, you're giving me a quote. I don't see an article. I don't really work like that. You know what I'm saying? Can I see what you're talking about? So I get a click from encyclopedia.com, and then I get the Barbados Today article. And then the person says, I provided links, but I'm still waiting for an answer. So they're demanding an answer when they just provided the link and I didn't have an opportunity to take a look. Does this mean I can go to Barbados and take advantage of the free tuition as ADOS? So again, I think this is like a pushback, or like there's an agenda. This is what made me feel like, okay, this is not a serious, genuine question. But for the sake of illustration, I'm going to attempt to do what any of us can do who has access to the internet, who has access to sit down. Like I said before, if we subscribe to a narrative because of emotions, or because we are identifying with other people and the feelings and the experience with other people who have same belief systems, then what happens is that we are not oftentimes objective enough to look at all of the information, right? So again, just in the same way I spoke about the article having a slant, this question seems a bit slanted, but nonetheless, I said, thanks for sharing. We'll check it out. Concerning your question, I'm not over the project. So you're asking me about a project that you just sent me to link to and then demanding that I answer the question when I'm not even the one who's over the project. I said, neither am I versed with the requirements, but for edification purposes, I will look into it. And then I said 20 minutes ago when I decided, you know what, literally it took me 20 minutes to see if there's any truth to the claims that melanated people who live on the mainland continent cannot go to the Caribbean and claim on any of the benefits. This is one of the contentions. I can be wrong. However, this is what I've heard being vocalized, that melanated people do not have access to the Caribbean assets and that people who are coming from the Caribbean are stealing and usurping the rights and benefits of melanated people here, and this is why that they have to cut ties and you hold your own nuts and all kind of conversations like this. Hold on. All right, so this didn't take me 20 minutes, maybe because I'm a researcher by nature. I don't know, but again, if my contention was before when I first saw this and it's now, if you're going to make a claim, just make it be honest and truthful. And then you just stand on that because that's what you want to do. There's no need to kind of have a revisionist form of history to do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? That's just my contention at this point. And so that's that, okay? So we're going to go over to the article now. For those who just joined us, welcome. No more tuition worries for BCC Eardiston students. This was back in 2018, July, so last year, okay? The anxiety is over for students of the Barbados Community College and the Eardiston Teachers Training College, worrying about the payment of tuition fees this academic year. Government today gave its word that it would cover those costs, along with the tuition fee for Barbadians pursuing studies at the University of West Indies. University of West Indies has 3 campuses. Keep that in mind, 3 campuses. If I'm not mistaken, one in Barbados, one in Trinidad, and one in Jamaica, okay? This is the Barbadian government saying that it would aid so far from what I'm getting, Barbadians pursuing studies at UWI, okay? Minister of Education, Technology, and Vocational Training, Santia Bradshaw, set out the administration policies anytime they make their Oh, let me make this bigger. Anytime they make the font in that Cray messes with my eyes. So where are we? Minister of Education, Technology, and Vocational Training, Santia Bradshaw, set out the administration policies on the payment of tuition fees for tertiary students in a ministerial statement delivered shortly before Parliament adjourned for lunch, declaring that it was only, quote, logical and fair, unquote, that there be a consistent tuition policy in education and training. She announces the, quote, position offered to Barbadian students at the UWI should also be offered to other Barbadian tertiary students undertaking undergrad programs at both BCC and the Airdiston Training College with immediate effect. So what we're hearing so far is that this is not a slight to ADOS, melanated people in America. It's saying Barbadian. How many countries are in the West Indies, so-called West Indies? It's not saying Jamaica. It's not saying St. Kitts and Nevis. It's not saying Trinidadians. It's not saying Grenadians. It's not saying Bahamians. It's saying Barbadians. So this particular article, choosing this article, this is what makes me feel like it's kind of like grab this article, answer this question. But I'm gonna continue. However, we must bear in mind that the current state of our economy and the reduced scope that government has for spending, and therefore all fees paid by Barbadians from the 2018-2019 academic year at either of these institutions will be credited in full during the course of the academic year 2018-2019. Unquote. Bradshaw noted while making it clear that, quote, both part-time and full-time students at both the BCC and Airdiston Training College will also be required to give back in recognition of these services provided by the state. Again, this is talking strictly to Barbadians and not talking about any other person in the Caribbean or any other person on the mainland. The announcements which sparked an increase in applications at the Cave Hill campus, however, resulted in confusion recently after parents and students had complained they were being told by UWI, which is the University of West Indies, they would have to meet the tuition costs themselves in the absence of the official word from the government. In breaking her silence on the issue, the minister said, quote, concrete arrangements, end quote, would be made for payments of tuition fees for Barbadians attending all three UWI campuses. Okay? So again, if you are Barbadian and you in Trinidad to attend UWI, or if you're a Barbadian and you in Jamaica to attend UWI, this is what they're addressing. And even when they're offering this for Barbadians on ground, we see that even Barbadians were having a bit of a confusion around the issue. Quote, the government of Barbados will pay directly to the UWI tuition fees for Barbadians enrolled in undergrad courses of studies. Okay, government, however, will only cover the tuition fee for a second undergrad degree in Barbados students gain at least second class honors, or if the second undergrad degree will be of significant relevance to national development, she said. So they're investing in that particular country to educate the people so that they will come back and contribute to the country. Additionally, government will cover the tuition costs for Barbadian students seeking a legal educational certificate granted by the Council of Legal Education of the Commonwealth of the Caribbean. So that little clip, it does not give us a full, this is what I'm talking about revisionist history. This little clip that I was given and demanded to give an answer does not give someone the full view of what they're answering to, right? So this is not how we approach history. This is not how we approach facts. This is not how I approach anything that I do. This is why I always ask for the source material. Barbadian postgraduate students may also benefit from government largesse, but they must gain at least upper second class honors in first degree, or their postgraduate degree must be of significant relevance to national development. Bradshaw revealed that a full list of national development programs, which will be considered for the 2018-2019 academic year, will be released by August 3rd. I'm almost there. Government has also made provisions for students to benefit from an additional year in the event of circumstances which may force a student to repeat a year. Quote, if you're pursuing full-time studies, government will cover tuition fees for 3 years plus 1, which is therefore 4 years, and for part-time studies, 4 years plus 1, which is 5 years, the minister said. Like their other tertiary college, UWI, or the University of West Indies students, will also be required to give back by, quote, providing 150 hours of approved community service per year, whereas part-time students will be required to give back 100 hours of approved community service per year. So they're investing in their community. In some places, like in recent times, New York has opened up for you to get free education. And if I'm not mistaken, I have to go back and look at the colleges, but in the same way that Barbados is saying, and UWI is saying, you have to do some time in the place that gave you this grant. So whether or not you're going to now invest in the community for however many years that's prescribed, 4 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be. Let me get that real quick. This is how we do research. When we take a bit of the emotion has its place, right? But when we take it out of the way in which New York, I think it's CUNY, offers free tuition. See, this is not, okay. Tuition-free degree program, okay? This is CUNY, this is 2017. This is right here in America. What you need to know about New York's what? This is 2017 free tuition scholarship program. And I bet if you click on it, it's going to read somewhat similar to what we're seeing being read in Barbados. You're not going to be able to get it and then just skip town. It's going to tell you who's eligible. He's going to tell you what are you supposed to do. It's going to tell you the age limit. It's going to tell you what happens after this. It tells you who can qualify. Students must be citizens, permanent resident, or refugees. So this is very interesting. Could students lose the scholarship X, Y, and Z? So I just wanted to bring that up because sometimes I mention things, and as I'm talking, because so much stuff is in my mind, I forget. So I brought that up to show you that New York, and if I'm not mistaken, San Francisco. Let me go there before I go back to this Barbados article. San Francisco, I think California offered free tuition. And there's also things that make you qualify for that as well. California, right here in 2018, still a long way from free tuition community college. Some California community colleges get free because of requirements. Okay, college is free now in 2 of the most expensive places in America. If you click on that, this is 2017. So you see, just in the same way Barbados is offering it, you see that they're talking about there's some difficulty in accessing. So one of them is New York, okay? And the second one is California. You see that? Okay, so there's no difference from what is happening right now on the island of Barbados and what is happening in New York and California. I pay attention to what's happening, but we're going to continue. Is everybody all right? Hopefully everybody's all right. All right. And let me see where I'm at. See, this is the part that's, it's not the hype part. It's not the part that's going to get your emotions all up and going. And so many people don't have the tolerance to be able to wade through a lot of this information to get a fuller picture of what we're talking about, right? We would rather someone disseminate the information for us and give us the Cliff Note version. And oftentimes, if they have an agenda, they're going to shave off a lot of the facts, right? And in anticipation of concern about the increased government expenditure in light of limited resources, Bradshaw issued that the administration would use the savings from its debt reprofiling to fund the cost. So they don't even have the money to do this, but they know that they need to educate the people or else they're going to have a problem in society. She stressed that the government viewed the payment of tuition as one of the critical measures to halt social decline, to alleviate suffering, and to build the foundation for a new national growth. So is the person who's trying to get access to these funds or access to free education in Barbados? But this particular one is for Barbadians, but I'm going to show you another scholarship in a minute. But the question is, do you plan to build the economy of that place? Or are you just trying to go to the place to access the free tuition and then not intend to build the economy? It says a stagnant economy cannot be revitalized without the training, empowerment, equipped workforce, nor can it be revitalized with heavy indebted customers, Bradshaw insisted. The Office of the Students Guild immediately welcomed today's announcement, saying it was extremely pleased with the move. The Guild counts it as a great victory and will not be working with the administration on the college to ensure this smooth be working with the administration of the college to ensure this smooth transition for continuing students and new students, it said in a statement. So again, that was the fullness of the article, not just a clipping of the article. And we're seeing in this article why they're doing it, the fact that they really don't have the funds to do it, but they know that they need to do something to boost their economy. So they have to educate those who are there. So now we saw UWI was mentioned here. We saw a community college mentioned, a teachers training college mentioned, and then we see here at the top Barbadians who are pursuing studies at the University of West Indies, okay? So when you pull up the University of West Indies, I actually just learned this today as I was listening to a reparations video. University of West Indies, all three of them, to my understanding, was built on a plantation, an old plantation. Each one of them was built on a plantation. They took over these plantations and built universities in three different places. So you have three different campuses. You have one in Jamaica, you have one in Trinidad and Tobago, and you have one in Barbados. And then they have an open campus, which is flexible learning, okay? All right, so this University of West Indies now has a scholarship program. So to the question, if it was a genuine question as to whether or not it's now termed ADOS can access things that the Caribbean has, I found this in a very short amount of time. So I say when we come to these discussions, let's be willing to be honest. And say what our real issues and shortcomings are, and not necessarily spin a new tale of what the Caribbean and those in thereof have done and not done in certain spaces. I was able to find this in a very short amount of time. This is from the University of West Indies Scholarship Opportunities. This is in the year of 2017. It's under something called the Organization of American States, More Rights for More People. The Organization of American States. So this University of West Indies that was mentioned in this here article, where this is strictly talking about Barbadians who are going to willing to pay the tuition for those of their this is an incentive program, right? And this particular scholarship, it says OAS Partnership Program for Education and Training. The Organization of American States, through the Department of Human Development, Education, and Employment, and the University of the West Indies, through the OAS Partnership Program for Education and Training, are offering scholarships to qualified candidates of the Americas to participate in its master degree program. So this is kind of like to the question, can I access? She was talking about Barbados, but if you look at the broader University of West Indies, let's see if melanated people from the mainland, America, whose foreparents were enslaved and went through Jim Crow and segregation, here, if they have access to some of the things that are being done in the Caribbean, okay? Let's see. This particular one is from 2017, but this is what I was able to pull up just for uh, entertainment purposes. Okay, it's giving you all the information. It's telling you what the tuition would provide. Please note that AOS scholarships are not offered for studies in one's country of citizenship or permanent legal residence. Citizens and or permanent legal residents of Barbados, Jamaica, and Trinidad will not be considered for AOS scholarships at the university located. So basically, if you are in Trinidad, you can't get this scholarship and stay in Trinidad. You have to go to another campus, which would mean you have to go to another island. Okay. So you get to read about, I put the link in the box so you can read it at your own discretion. I'm not going to read the entire thing. I wanted to talk about OAS and who they say qualifies. So let's jump down, being that that was along the lines of a question. Who qualifies? And the person saying they wonder if they would be able to basically access the funds from the Caribbean. So they're telling you the scholarship application process, what someone would need, things of this nature, right? And you would need your essay. It sounds pretty up and up, okay? Scholarship benefits and financial responsibility, okay? Scholarship eligibility requirements. Check this out. So concerning the Barbados one, this would also be plugged into the question of whether or not one could access basically funds, speaking to, what I've already said. To be considered for the OAS scholarship opportunity, an applicant must provide an unconditional administration letter to the University of West Indies, submit an OAS scholarship online application with all the required supporting documents, be a citizen and or permanent legal resident of any OAS member state, have not received or other scholarships from OAS from the level of the studies and or program study advertised in this announcement, not be an OAS staff or individual who maintains employment contracts with OAS, or a staff of permanent mission to OAS or immediate relative of a staff of permanent mission to OAS. Okay? So one would say, wait, hold on. They have this, they made sure they put a star on it. And this is, I'm not going to stay long. I just want to answer the question by giving more information. Okay. So when I click on OAS member state, because you have to be a citizen or permanent legal resident, and this is talking about a scholarship to attend the University of West Indies, which would be here. Okay. On a scholarship for your master's. Okay. When you click on it, OAS, more rights, more people. Let me make it big because this is more information that we can go ahead and share. Okay. 35 member states of the Americas have ratified the OAS Charter and are members of the organization. Antigua, Barbuda, Costa Rica, Haiti, St. Lucia, Argentina, Cuba, Honduras, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Dominica, Jamaica, Suriname, Belize, Dominican Republic, Mexico, the Bahamas, Bolivia, Ecuador, Nicaragua, Trinidad and Tobago, Brazil, El Salvador, Panama, United States of America, Canada, Grenada, Paraguay, Uruguay, Chile, Guatemala, Peru, Venezuela, Colombia, Guyana, and St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, would you look here? The United States of America is a member of the OAS, which would mean that citizens and or permanent legal residents of any OAS state, that's not to the exclusion of melanated people here on the mainland continent, to say everybody except for the melanated people here on the mainland continent. It says here, to qualify for this particular scholarship that's being given out by UWI, University of West Indies, look at this. Mainland people from America could qualify. Look at this. Member state, United States of America. Ambassador, permanent resident, Carlos Trujillo. Date of appointment, 2018 April. Alternatives, they give all the information. They have been members since it goes back to, this is the office, this is the mission. So if somebody is really, if somebody's really interested, this is going back to 2006, 2004. If somebody's really interested in finding an up-to-date, somebody's really interested in finding or an up-to-date scholarships that speak to the possibility of whether someone can go and attend college or go to the University of West Indies or qualify for a or qualify for a scholarship, one will have to go through some of the steps that I just did, look up said scholarships, see what are the requirements, see whether or not mainland, those who are citizens of America, can access these scholarships, and then come and report to the ADS community and say, you know what, this is the case. This is what can happen. This is what I've been able to do. And this is not something that I made up or I was able to just go ask somebody to make up. Like, this is on the books. And so I just wanted to come briefly and share that information because, again, like I said, some of this narrative is being spun in a certain way to justify the stance that others have chosen to take. Again, no one is taking anyone's choice away from you. Make your stance, make your choice, but make it stand on truth. So, you know what I'm saying? Stand it on truth and really deal with the issues that you want to deal with, the real issues, and not make necessarily other things that are really not the issue, the issue. So hopefully I was able to respectfully share my findings. and address the question. To recap, the Barbados one was speaking strictly to Barbadians, and University of West Indies. America is within the AOS, Organization of American States, OAS, I'm sorry. And therefore, there are some things that people, including melanated people from America, can access to. So hopefully that was helpful. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I may come back. Let me see what time. I didn't take too long to do this, 30 minutes. So I may come back at a later time to talk about what I kind of wanted to talk about today. Thank you for your questions and your comments. As long as we continue to keep it respectful, we can keep it going. Great conversation. Everybody have a blessed night.